Carla Page, and welcome to my program. It's so good to be back. I am just really, I'm telling you, I missed everybody, and I'm so glad to be back in the driver's seat again. So much has been going on, and it just seems like things are just moving so quickly around us. But I'm excited about this week's show. I have got an outstanding guest with a lot of wisdom, a lot of heart, a lot of personality, and just a lot of pizzazz. His name is Phillip Turner, and he is an author who writes poetry, and we've got 2 of his books here. I'm excited to have you hear all about him. We're going to talk to him. He's going to do a lot of sharing, and we're going to find out what got him started, where he's headed, and the fact that these books that we're talking about today, you can even get them right on Amazon. That's right. So get on the phone and call your friends. Let them know we're on, because this is a show you don't want to miss. Hi, Phillip.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming. Thanks for being my guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you are originally from Albany, and it sounds like you are very proud to say that.
Yes, I've always been proud of Albany, and I'm proud to be an Albanian.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And for me, too, being from Schenectady, I always am the same. I'm proud to say I'm a Schenectadian. Yeah. So we talked on the phone, and I got some information out about you. You have 2 books. Before we even get more, even so out the gate, let's talk about the books. Why don't you show the viewers what they are and hold them up for us, please?
This is my first book. This book is called A Year in the Life, Expressions of Strength, Struggle, and Sorrow and Success. I'll tell you more about this title in a moment. This is my second book, Colors and Patterns of Life. The reason these books have these titles is because in the year of a life, it's more than a calendar year. It's a year of living, and that could be any time. It could be 2 months, it could be 10 years. It's just a demarcation of life, of living.
Okay.
Colors and Patterns, on the other hand, speaks to the way life is, the way you see life. How do you adjust to your life when it's going good, bad, and at times ugly? What do you do, and how can you learn to cope? And that's why I wrote these 2 books, and once again, here they are.
Excellent. So you come from a very large family. Share with the viewers, how many are in your family?
Well, I have 13 sisters and brothers. That means my mother had, not me, my mother had 14 children. She had 8 boys and 6 girls. My mother was a very intelligent woman. She was born in the South, Virginia. She always was proud of being a Virginian. Most of us were born in New York or Ohio, most of her children. And my mother, though she didn't have formal education, she was a well-educated and a very intelligent woman. She instilled the love of school, reading, writing, and art in me. And since I was a boy, I've always had those things in me. I didn't always express them, but they were always there for my mother, putting those things like art, language. She always told us and all her children to speak well. We couldn't say duh, this and that. We had to say the, this, and that. Mm-hmm. She was very articulate, and I love my mother, of course, and I was very proud of her in the way she raised us all.
That's beautiful. What part of Virginia was she from?
Well, she called herself a big Eastman. All I know is she was from Halifax County, because one thing my mother did, she never took us there. She grew up in the segregated South, of course. She was born in the 30s, 1930s. And she never liked the segregated South, and she didn't want to put her children through that. So she never took us down south. But she told us she was born in Halifax County in the area of South Boston, Virginia, and Clover, Virginia. My grandfather, my mother was very proud of this. My grandfather and grandmother were the only black people in that area that owned their farmland. They owned about 60 acres of land where they grew tobacco.
That is something. That really is. And I noticed that we were talking before, and you were saying, Phillip, that so many of your siblings are professionals.
Yes. I have, like I said, out of the 14 kids, several of us have graduate degrees. Many of us are professionals, from nurses, lawyers, psychotherapists. We have quite a few in our family. Like I said, out of the 14 of us, I believe close to 8, maybe 9 have some kind of degree. Because that's my mother again. She instilled education in her children.
So did you always know, Phillip, that there was a author inside of you? Did you know it when you were a boy coming up?
No, I'll be very frank with you. The only thing I wanted to do when I was a boy, to your point, when I was a youngster, for some reason, I always wanted to be a lawyer. I went to a law office one time with my mother. She was trying to do something about some bills. And her lawyer told her that he heard me speak, and he said I was very articulate and I should be a lawyer. And he put that in my thought of me since I was about, 8 or 9. So I always wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't reach that goal per se in life. My baby sister did. She became the lawyer that I wanted to be. But that was my life goal before my childhood goal, I'd say, before life interjected.
Yes, okay, beautiful. That's something. I'm really, like I said, very, very impressed. So I'm calling you an author and a poet. What do you call yourself?
I call myself a black man that made it in America through trying times and trying situations. The poet became a part of me through the experiences that I went through in my life. The poet was not there until the experiences of living occurred.
Okay.
Yes.
So when did you start to show signs of this writing?
I like to write ever since I could remember, to be frank with you. I used to read a lot. No matter what I used to do, even when I used to be out there running in the streets, unbeknownst to my friends, I used to come home and I used to read. I couldn't tell them that because in those days I had to portray a certain persona, which was, to be frank with you, a tough guy. And a tough guy can't be seen with a book. But when I came home, I had a book because my mother had encyclopedias back then. She was one of the few people that had encyclopedias. I used to come home and I read. And I always liked to read. And then I wrote a couple poems when I was younger. I had it in me. I didn't nurture it, though, because I was living life on another level. I didn't really nurture my poetry until I became older and start reflecting upon the life that was lived by me and by those around me.
Okay. And it's interesting because when you think of a poem, a lot of times people think it has to rhyme. What do you think?
I don't think a poem has to rhyme. I think poetry is rhythmic. It has to have rhythm, but not rhyme. And people get those two terms mixed up. It has to have a certain cadence because that'll keep the reader engaged.
Yes.
Rhyming condenses ideas and make ideas more palatable to. But it doesn't have to rhyme to be a poem.
I see. So you are actually Phillip D. Turner.
Yes.
What does the D stand for?
That's very interesting you'd ask that. My name was changed. I was born Phillip Farrell. My mother's first husband was Farrell, John Lee Farrell. He died. She met my my father, Phillip Turner, and they got married, but don't tell anyone. I was born out of wedlock. So I was born Phillip Farrell, but my mother thought she had renamed me Phillip Turner. fast forward 19 years, when I first went to college, I had to go get some health work done. Anyway, I went and told them I was Phillip Turner, born a certain date, certain year, and I went to the Albany Board of Records back then and City Hall. They said nobody existed under that name. So I had a fit. I called my mother. She came up there. She cursed the lady out, the city clerk out. That's my son. I had him this day, this day, this day. So they put out these big books back then. We didn't have computers. And the big book, she got to the date, went over on that date, and there was Philip Farrell. And then it dawned on my mother that she named me her married name Farrell to her late husband. So she called my father right away when she got home. They sent the paperwork out to my dad, who was in Ohio at the time. He signed it, and my name got changed to Turner. In the meantime, when the last name was changed from Philip Farrell to Phillip Turner, my mother asked me, could she add her brother who died name to mine, and that was my Uncle Dick. And I told her yes. So she named me Philip Dick Turner, and that became my formal and legal name.
That is something. Well, if you're just joining us, I'm so excited about this show. Like I said in the beginning, I have got Mr. Phillip D. Turner here with me. And he's from Albany, lives here in the Capital District. He knows all about writing, and he's got 2 books out. One is called A Year in the Life, Expressions of Strength, Struggle, Sorrow, and Success. Look at there. How about that? And the second, and he said he wrote it just shortly after, this second one called Colors and Patterns of a Life. Yes. Isn't that something? Exciting. So let me read something to you that I wrote, and I want you to please elaborate, okay? Will you do so?
Certainly.
Okay, so poetry. What is poetry? Poetry is a type of artistic literature involving language and using sound and rhythm to stir the reader's imagination, providing an emotional response. Do you agree?
I certainly agree. Poetry is meant to touch the soul. Poetry is meant to bring you places that you may have been and have forgotten, or you may have never been, but you've thought about. So poetry can be, and for most people, it's very emotional.
Okay, wow. So now, let's talk about I know you were talking about your education. Let's talk about that, and where within your education, Phillip, did you get this bug to write, and where did you travel? I want to know where you've been. Where you been?
Good question. As I got older, of course, I left Albany. I went to the military, Vietnam War, came back, moved to Buffalo, stayed out in Buffalo about 8 years, came back home to Albany, lived here for a while, in Albany for a while, then moved to Schenectady for about 10 years, left Schenectady and went over to Boston, Metro Boston, they call it Metro West. During that time between living in Schenectady and going to Boston, of course the years were going by and I was growing older, and I couldn't see myself getting too far in life. I had got involved in just being satisfied living what I would call the street life, just living, not committing crime, but not moving anywhere, just living. And I wanted to do more with my life than just say live. I'll put it like that. So I decided, my mother had always told me that I could do more with my life than just live, really, frankly, live with women. She told me I should do more with my life. She said I was intelligent and I should go back to school. And I took my mom's advice, and I went back to school at SUNY at Albany. Eventually, I got my master's degree in social work, and I wanted to become a psychotherapist. So I went and I took the test and became a psychotherapist. I took a social worker's test. I got my MSW, a Master's of Social Work from SUNY at Albany. I went and I got my license to practice social work, and that allowed me to practice psychotherapy. I moved over to Metro West, which is outside of Boston, the Bostonian suburb in Milford, Massachusetts, and practiced over there for 10 years psychotherapy. During the time I was practicing psychotherapy, I still wanted to have more fulfillment, and that led me to writing poetry. And that's what got me to my poetry.
Wow. So what was the very first poem you wrote, Phillip?
The very first poem I wrote, I won't give you much more detail than this, was to a young lady. Well, she wasn't too young. Well, yeah, a young lady. Okay.
Okay. All
And
right.
I wrote it, and that came straight from the heart, you know. So that was the first poem I wrote. It was a romantic poem.
Romantic, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now I put a marker in something here that I liked, okay? All right, so this one here I liked. There was two, actually. Look Within, and then I like Qualities of Being, both of those. So when you write a poem, do you write, I know it's from life's experiences, but what other things make you write a poem? Because these, just for an example of these two titles, they're so totally different.
Right. Well, I write poetry of experience I've had and things I have not yet had, things I can imagine, and things that I have not lived or seen, but things I have imagined can be found. And just sometimes I go set out and I look at the lake or I look at a river, and I start thinking about how it's moving. I start looking around the scenery, the natural world. I start seeing things in it, and in my mind start putting words to the things that I'm seeing. And that's usually how you come up with poems that I don't even know I have within me, but they are there.
And you could be someone, Phillip, that would be a good songwriter too.
Well, thank you. I did write a song, a couple that's in here.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm impressed that you said that, because I never told anyone that. There's a couple poems I've got. I can't remember which book, to be honest with you. They started out as songs for me, but I put them in my book of poems. That's what I'm impressed. You impressed me by saying that.
I can sense that. I can sense that. So, is it all right if I read one?
Go right ahead.
Is it okay? Okay,
Yes.
so this one's entitled Look Within. Look Within. And it is from A Year in the Life, Expressions of Strength, Struggle, Sorrow, Success. I lie in bed at night thinking I had given up drugs and drinking. I never thought I could do without these things. Yet, there was a peacefulness that abstinence brings. Was I a different person? No, I was still me. What changed were the things I could see. No longer was my sight superficial. I could better determine for me what was harmful. The old lifestyle was a way of me hiding. The self-destructive lifestyle I was abiding. What was I punishing myself for? The self-loathing behavior I could no longer endure. As I came out of my self-imposed fog and mist, I decided to do everything I could to rid myself of ignorance. The first thing I did was to start loving me. It was then that I realized I could be whatever I wanted to be. Wow.
Oh, that's true. I like to think that's very true.
That's something. That's something. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did you have? Let me ask you this. To put the books. Okay, you wrote the books, but then how about the publishing? Did you do who did that part of it for you?
My sister, that's why I told you I have a big family. My sisters did all of it. I'll be very frank with you. I wrote these poems for my family. I'm not a rich man. I wanted to leave something. I'm an older man now, too, and none of us are going to live forever. I don't want to put Deborah on the show, but I started thinking about what old people think about. I started thinking about my legacy, not what I've done, because I've done just about it all, but what would I leave behind? I'm at that stage of life.
Yes.
And I wanted to leave something behind for my family. I couldn't leave them money because I'm not wealthy. So I decided, what could I leave them? I could leave them poems. I could leave them guidelines for them to look at and to read if they cared to.
Wow.
And so that's why I wrote these. I gave them to my sisters. I got a lot of sisters. I got one there at the studio with me. I let my sister read it. Like, she happened to be an attorney, and she loved them. And she published them and got it all of this going. But I really wrote them to leave as a legacy for my family members.
Beautiful. Yes, and I'm so glad that I got to meet your sister that's here in the studio, and I know your sister Lana and Lana's daughter. I know both of them, so it was nice to be able to.
Powerful women in my family.
Oh my goodness, powerful. So, will you do me a favor and will you read a poem from Colors and Patterns of a Life? Will you do that one?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have Phillip himself, the author poet, read one from the second book that he wrote.
And I'm going to begin. A visitor. In the darkness of my mind, I could see a shadow of what is to come or a time gone by I do not yet know. I look through the hazy mist that in my brain forms the past, searching through old sins and loves that did not last. I can see the form is getting nearer and constantly growing. I sense a memory of things I regret due to a lack of knowing. My mental operation looked at me with a tear in its eyes and said, "You no longer recognize me. Have we drifted so far apart, you think I'm dead?" The closer it came, the better I heard and saw a familiarity. It asked in a very sad voice, "Now do you know me?" I tried to look through the gray matter in my mind to see. There was something about him I had to know. Who could this be? It came ever closer through the mist of my mind. I knew that voice, that figure, for it was one of a kind. I said to the shocked voice, "Wow, look at me. Look at you." It must have been hell, the things you've been through. I was stunned, but through the clouds of my mind, I could see the truth. This was no stranger. I was quite familiar with him, for he was my youth. He looked at me with tear-filled eyes, for he was sad. He was the one that had the dreams of the things I could have had. They talked, laughed, and cried in their mind as though they were brothers. Hopes of a young man, the disappointments of life is hard to explain to others. It was so many years ago. Whatever you do, I could not let you forget me. I will never forget. You are my youth, a part of what I am, and you will always be. You forgot my thoughts and you regulated me to your past. The things I treasured in my youth when I became a man, they did not last. There's a reason why the past and present can only meet like this. The mature mind of the present knows reality. The youth of the past thought only of bliss. He left us quickly as he came. After that visit, I was never the same. It's hard to say or understand why. Perhaps your past will always be with you, but it will never die.
Wow, that's something. Pen to paper. That is interesting. That's deep. That is so. Oh boy.
Carla, excuse me for interrupting you, but do you ever think of the young girl inside of you? Does she ever come out?
Sometimes she does.
We don't talk about it as adults.
I know.
We never talk about that young girl, that young boy.
Mm-hmm.
But they still there.
Yes,
They're in the midst of our mind.
Yes.
The good, the bad, and the ugly they
That's
went
right.
through.
That's
but
right.
we all have that. So that poem let him know, I know he's there. I know little Phil is there.
Oh.
You know? And
Yes.
I wanted him to know I know he's there.
Sure.
You don't get much recognition now because old Phil's here. But that little guy, that little Carla's in there somewhere too.
Yes,
you know,
I agree.
Good, bad, and ugly. We went through it all.
You're
and
right.
she went through it all.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
So that's that poem.
I love that one. That really makes you think. So, for people who are listening who would want to follow in your footsteps, does all this have to be copywritten? How do you do all of that part of it? I mean, you do the writing. You had it put together, but how about that part? Do you have to lay out that part?
Frankly with you, I may look like a genius, people. No, my sister Tammy, sincerely did it all.
Okay.
Remember I told you I have a lawyer in the family.
Yes.
She
did that part of it.
She did it all.
Too.
She just said, Phillip, you write it, and if you want, I'll do everything else.
Yes.
I said, okay, because you got to remember, I first told you I had put this all on typewritten papers, put in plastic, and was going to leave it for my family when I passed away. I would send them to Tammy because I respected Tammy's mind. And I called her Tammy. Her name is Sincere. Her family name is Tammy. When she got it, she wanted to do more with it. So she took care of it all to answer your question.
That something?
My sisters, you know, I'm going to tell you something quickly. I love my mother. My mother raised her children to be very close. And the older I get, the more I'm appreciative of how my mother raised us. I always depended on females, you know, my whole life, okay? I'm just be frank with you, to do things for me, you know, and I was cool with that. But as I got older, my family, and especially my sisters, but my brothers as well, my family do a lot for me. They make this life for me worth living. My family do, and I give all credit due to my mother. So, like I said, my sister Winoka brings me here because my sister Linda could not because she's working today. My sister Tammy does everything else: the publishing, the legal matters. She does all of that. She said, Phillip, all you have to do is write. Your writing is so beautiful. You just write. I'm your sister, you trust me, and I'll do everything else. I said, of course I do, baby. And she does. So to answer your question, I couldn't give you any technical parts of the book because I didn't do any of the technical parts of the book. But my sister, Sincere, did the technical parts of the book.
Okay.
And she runs it by my sister Winoka because they're near the same age, and her and Winoka they're the two brains behind the project.
Okay. I thank you truly for being a guest on my show. And you know what? We'll do it again. Let's do part 2 sometime.
Well, thank you.
I want to know what's going on. And I do have some other people I want you to meet. But
Okay.
I thank you for being my guest. And I thank you for your patience.
I thank you for inviting me. I thank you for having me. And you're a great hostess. I mean, that's sincerely.
I appreciate that, Phillip. Take care and the best to you. And why don't you hold them up one last time? There you go. Those are his books. Local author, poet.
Well, thank you.
Take care of yourself.
I will now.
And keep up the great work, Phillip.
All right. And this is great. It's better than my expectations. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Bye, everybody. See you next week. I love you. God bless you. See you next week.